3 wide. Under 200 miles an hour. Someone hits him from behind, and for half a second, Bubba Wallace has two choices: wreck or drop below a painted line he can barely see at that speed. He chooses the line. He crosses it. He comes out of turn 4 side by side for what looks like the biggest finish of his career. He is wrong. In the next 10 minutes, his own race team walks into a NASCAR hauler to argue about whether what he did was even legal. And by Monday night, the man who signs his paycheck goes on his own podcast and agrees with the people who took the finish away from him. This is not a story about a yellow line. It is a story about what happens when a team owner has to choose between defending his driver and defending the sport he has spent his career racing in. On one July night in Georgia, Denny Hamlin picked a side, and it was not the one most fans expected. Before we get into exactly what Hamlin said, if you're new here, this channel is called NASCAR Voltage, and we're closing in on 500 subscribers. If breakdowns like this are useful to you, hitting subscribe, dropping a like, and leaving a comment genuinely helps this channel grow. Your support is what allows us to keep bringing you detailed, fact-check coverage like this. Now, back to Atlanta. The race in question was the Quaker State 400 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, run on July 12, 2026. Rain delays pushed the finish into the early hours of Monday morning. Bubba Wallace was driving the number 23 car for 23XI Racing, the team co-owned by Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan. Heading into that night, Wallace was in the middle of one of his strongest statistical seasons, and this race was shaping up as a shot at a signature win. On the final lap, Wallace was racing 3 wide for the lead against race winner Ryan Blaney and Carson Hocevar, with contact in the mix that pushed him toward the apron. He crossed the finish line believing he had locked up second place. For about 90 seconds, Wallace thought he had just written the best chapter of his career. NASCAR was about to rewrite it. NASCAR ruled that Wallace had advanced his position below the double yellow line, a violation of Rulebook Section 8.7.2.a. He was dropped 27 spots, from P2 to P29, the last car on the lead lap. That also meant 27 championship points gone, dropping him to 13th in the standings. Wallace, crew chief Charles Denike, and 23XI Performance Director Dave Rogers spent roughly 31 minutes inside the NASCAR hauler trying to get the call overturned, reported in real time by NASCAR insider Jordan Bianchi. When Wallace finally walked out to reporters, his response was short and resigned: "A penalty's a penalty." Wallace did not let it go quietly. He argued that the rule is specifically about advancing position, and he maintained he never did that. He said he stayed in third, was hard on the brakes to avoid gaining ground, and still ended up side by side through no fault of his own intent. NASCAR insider Bob Pockrass flagged an important nuance in real time, noting that the rule actually contains 2 separate clauses: staying above the line at all times, and not passing below it to advance. That distinction meant NASCAR may have ruled him out on the first clause even if he never clearly passed anyone. For a few hours, this looked like a classic NASCAR gray area, a hard, debatable call that reasonable people could argue about forever. Then Denny Hamlin opened his mouth. This is where the story turns. Hamlin is not a neutral observer here. He is co-owner of 23XI Racing, he was the championship points leader heading into that race, and he has personally been penalized under this exact rule before. When he was asked directly for his opinion on his own podcast, Actions Detrimental, he first distanced himself from the actual decision, pointing out that the call belonged to 23XI's head of competition, Dave Rogers, not him. Then he went further. He did not just accept the penalty, he defended NASCAR's reading of the rule, using his own frame-by-frame breakdown of the footage. Hamlin explained that the rule is not about the literal final result on the scoreboard, it is about the intent to advance, whether or not you actually end up ahead. In his own words on the podcast, it's the intention, you have to pretend that there's a wall there. He then pointed to a detail almost no fan had caught. Through the middle of turns 3 and 4, Wallace was actually the furthest car forward at one point, even though the final scoring never reflected it. Hamlin's blunt summary: so he technically did gain, he gained the lead at some point of the move. Read that again. Wallace's own team owner did not just accept the penalty. He built NASCAR's case for them, using footage most fans never even looked at. Hamlin was not a detached judge that night, either. He had his own fire to deal with. Earlier in the same race, contact involving Hamlin triggered a chain reaction wreck during a restart, sending him toward the back of the field. He had entered the night as the points leader and briefly found himself outside the top 30 because of his own incident. So the picture heading into that podcast was not simple. Hamlin was explaining away his own rough night while simultaneously being asked to judge his driver and business partner on a completely separate controversial call. 2 fires, same night, same man, one inside his own car, one involving the driver whose career he has spent years helping build. And the one he chose to defend was not his own. There was a second layer of tension inside the team that weekend that made the night even messier. Earlier in the race, contact from teammate Ty Gibbs affected Wallace, and NASCAR insider Matt Weaver flagged a visible on-track disagreement between the 2 Toyota teammates after the checkered flag. Hamlin addressed that too on the podcast, arguing that if you make a block that forces someone to check up hard, you have to accept they might not lift in time to save you, and he felt it was a tough ask of Gibbs in that spot. Put together, the tension inside 23XI Racing that weekend was not limited to one penalty. It was driver versus driver, and driver versus owner, inside the same 24 hours. The fan base split almost immediately. One camp argued Wallace made the only move available while reacting to contact from other cars, and that the advancing clause was being read too aggressively by NASCAR. The other camp pointed to Hamlin's own frame-by-frame breakdown as proof the call was correct, regardless of what triggered the move in the first place. NASCAR VP of Racing Communications Mike Ford backed the ruling on the Hauler Talk podcast, stating that officials determined Wallace advanced his position in more than one spot, and that at one point in the closing laps, the replay clearly showed him in the lead. Brad Moran, NASCAR's managing director, confirmed outside the hauler that the call was not up for review. No appeal. No overturn. Just a final number, 13th in the standings. NASCAR says the call was clean. Wallace says he never advanced. And Hamlin, the one-man position to defend his driver without question, chose, on his own podcast, in his own words, to explain exactly why NASCAR was right. Was that an honest read of the tape, or proof that inside 23XI Racing, the rulebook now comes before loyalty? That is the exact kind of story this channel exists to break down, the details other coverage glosses over. If you want more breakdowns like this one, hit subscribe, and if you have a take on whether Hamlin was right to back NASCAR's call, drop it in the comments below. Every comment and share genuinely helps push this channel toward 500 subscribers, and it directly shapes what we cover next. If you enjoyed this breakdown, share it with a NASCAR fan who needs to see it before Sunday's race, and if you like this kind of real, fact-based NASCAR analysis, you'll like what's coming next on NASCAR Voltage.